Welcome to my ANC TV. My name is Atikeleba and this is Final Walk to Freedom. With me I have the convener of the National Task Team of the ANC Youth League. Welcome to studio.
Thank you very much.
First of all, can you tell us what role Madiba played in the ANC Youth League?
Well, as the ANC Youth League, we are saddened by the passing away of Madiba. As you know, that he belongs to the founding generation of 1944 that founded the ANC Youth League. So Nelson Mandela means a lot of things to the African National Congress. In particular, we would want the leadership of today to emulate some of his good examples, because you'll know that they were able, as that generation, they were able to come up with a very clear strategy and program of action which changed the face of the African National Congress in terms of the method of struggle.
Okay, what would you say is the most memorable role that Nelson played during the foundation phase of the Youth League?
Firstly, Nelson Mandela was there during the 1949 adoption of the program of action in the African National Congress. Secondly, he became the chief volunteer during the defiance campaign, but more importantly, in 1961 he became the chief commander of during the formation of Umkhonto weSizwe. These are some of the three most important things, but the most notable one being the adoption of Freedom Charter in 1955. So those are the four main things that can be credited for as ANC Youth League programs emanating from the 1949 program of action, where Nelson Mandela specifically played a leading role during those phases.
What would you say Mandela represents to the ANC Youth League of today, and how can young people learn from his legacy?
Well, Mandela represents unity. He's a freedom fighter who represents unity and diversity. So young people of today must be able to emulate his example if they were to wage a struggle for socio-economic freedom. You will recall that the generation of 1944, all what they wanted in their lifetime was to bring about freedom. 50 years later, they delivered freedom. So as this generation, we have carved our own generational mission where we said that we want to ensure that there is economic freedom in our lifetime. So we can only follow the footsteps of the work that they were able to do if we are serious about ensuring that we bring about economic freedom in South Africa.
What would you say has been the impact of the passing away of Nelson Mandela, not only just limited to the Youth League, but on society in general?
Look, Nelson Mandela is the only president of the ANC Youth League who went on to become the president of the ANC in 1991 and later in 94 to become the president of the country. So in him, we have lost a leader, we've lost a role model, and we think that as young people of the African National Congress, we can only pick up the spear and take it from where Nelson Mandela has left. More importantly, you will know that he was very strong on issues of education. So we want to call upon young people of today to focus on education as their source of inspiration if we want to honor the legacy of Nelson Mandela.
As a country today, we hosted one of the largest gatherings of global leaders that the world has ever seen. What were your impressions in terms of how we hosted the memorial service?
Look, today it was a very clear indication of how much Mandela is loved by the world. Never in the history of humankind we've had so many high-profile leadership descending in one country in honor of an individual. It was indeed true and befitting that those people who had come to mourn the passing away of Mandela had come to close the eyes of the dead as the living, because everybody believes that Mandela's spirit will live with us for longer. So meaning that we are looking upon him as he departs on this world, that he will open our eyes in order for us to champion the interests of freedom in South Africa. We want to ensure that all of us remember him as a freedom fighter, as a person of courage, and as a person with determination who was willing to unite people regardless of color and race and creed.
Okay. In closing, can you tell us how will the future ANC Youth League celebrate and honor the legacy of Nelson Mandela?
The first thing that we need to do is to ensure that we get we reclaim the former glory of the ANC Youth League, which is a preoccupation of the National Task Team. You know that the organization, which is 69 years old, has undergone many problems. So we're restoring the values of that that were created by that particular generation. But more importantly, we must make sure that we've got functional structures and program that speaks to issues of young people in the country. It cannot be correct that issues of youth unemployment, poverty and inequality continue to persist. We must vigorously fight to ensure that we bring about economic freedom. And we can only do that by emulating the examples of Nelson Mandela.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. That was the convener of the National Task Team of the ANC Youth League, Mr. Mzwandile Masina. Thank you for joining us.